Hello listeners, Mark here with our final show of 2018. To celebrate the milestone, I'm joined by SLP Contributor of the Year for 2018, the man with the first match review almost every time. It's Karsten Brumme, the Swiss Cowboy. Listen in as we learn more about Karsten, how he came to Rugby League in a different way to most of us, what drew him into the game, which is probably isn't that different to most of us, and also as a newer member of our Rugby League community, what he thinks are Rugby League strengths and weaknesses. I had a great time talking to Karsten, so I hope you enjoy what he had to say. Welcome to the Super League pod, Karsten, the Swiss Cowboy. How are you?
Hello, thank you for getting me on the pod. I'm fine, and you?
Yeah, I'm excellent. Enjoying the Christmas period, and this is kind of, I guess, our Christmas special, getting a different perspective on Rugby League. And I think to highlight the different perspective that you offer, Karsten, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from? Where do you live? That sort of stuff.
So, my personal history: I was born and raised behind the Iron Curtain in East Germany. I migrated to Switzerland like 15 years ago, and I came to Rugby League through my sister who migrated to Australia. And in 2006, my brother-in-law took me to my first game of Rugby League in Townsville, where I watched the North Queensland Cowboys. Hence, my name is now Swiss Cowboy.
So you've ended up in Switzerland, where there's probably not a huge amount of rugby league. Your sister's ended up in Queensland, where there is a huge amount of rugby league. But the two things have just met together in your Twitter handle.
Yes, that's the way it all panned out.
So, what are your what's your experiences of rugby league? You say you went to the first game you went to was in 2006, and that was in Townsville. How many other types of games have you been to in Australia, in Britain, in other places in the world? Tell us a bit about where you've seen the game.
So at the beginning, it was just Townsville in 2006. I was back there in 2010 and watched the games on TV or on dodgy streams on the internet. I really came to European Rugby League through the World Club Challenge in 2016 against Leeds.
Okay.
Where I first saw the Rugby League in Europe. I had no clue before about it. And then I realized there is something. Started around the same time to listen to This Week in League, where you and were part of the pod then.
Yeah, we were for a bit. Yep.
And this brought me to the Super League pod. And then I started watching European Rugby League. Had my first trip to England last year. When we met at Anfield.
That's right, yeah, before the England-New Zealand second test match.
And that was actually my first live match in Europe.
Wow.
So I usually watch like 10 to 15 games per weekend on TV and dodgy streams. And get my usual Rugby League fix through the internet. So I'm not the typical Rugby League fan. If I count it all, I watched around 5 games live in my life.
Wow.
I think this will double next year.
yeah, you've got some more plans. We'll come to your sort of plans later on. But what in terms of you getting into Rugby League, what was it from that experience in Townsville in 2006 and from all those dodgy internet streams over the next decade or so? What was it that made you love Rugby League so much?
It was the physicality. I have an ice hockey background.
Yeah.
All my life it was ice hockey. I was a player. I will have coaching badges. I was chairman of a club for 3 years.
Wow.
So I loved physical, full contact sport till my body decided no. And I loved the speed, the physicality, which was leaving ice hockey at that time. There were so much rules introduced with not checking off the game and so on. So I liked that in rugby league it was honest, hard, but fair. I liked the respect the players had for each other.
Yeah.
Which is something in Europe when you watch hockey or soccer, you don't see that. So that was something which I really liked. In Australia, the atmosphere at the stadium isn't that good. You can't make. It's not the same like in England. I mean, Anfield wasn't full.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was half full at most. Yeah,
and it was still a better atmosphere than I ever saw in Townsville.
Oh wow!
So I think that's something of coming from culture.
Yeah. So how does the atmosphere compare to, say, the ice hockey and soccer games that you've been to around Europe then?
Soccer is in Europe. It's across all sports. You have the chance, and the fans are doing all the stuff in the stadiums. They're making their choreographies and they're generating an atmosphere. I think in Australia it's the same with ice hockey in America. Yeah. People go to the stadium, eat there, watch the game, but there are no big chants or anything like this.
Yeah, it's the action on the
field is more important
than the rest. That's what creates the atmosphere rather than the fans like in European stuff. Is that something you would like to see more when you next go to Australia?
I don't think there's
no chance
for it. I think the fan culture is too different.
Yeah,
I really look forward for watching more games in England.
Right. Okay. So, like, what you talked about your experience of ice hockey in particular and a bit of soccer as well. What are the sorts of things when you look at rugby league you kind of feel we need to change and we can learn maybe from the other sports?
Big area. I think what gets me most, and it's you don't have every club, every head does their own stuff.
Yeah.
There is no big strategy, or even the NRL, which is the most progressive in that kind of work, doesn't have a strategy for a global marketing or global vision.
No, there's no joined up thinking, I suppose.
No. And if you look at soccer, I mean, you have the German top clubs and English top clubs and French and Italian top clubs who meet every preseason in the United States, in China, and play tournaments there.
Increasingly in Australia as well.
Yeah. And in ice hockey, you have at the moment, you have the Spengler Cup here in Switzerland, where teams from Finland, Russia, Czech Republic, Switzerland, Germany, and Team Canada are playing against each other in the middle of the season.
Right.
So there isn't you had Russian teams who were playing in competitive games in Zurich and in Berlin this year. So you have a global strategy for getting the game to areas where it isn't that big, or where it is big, but other leagues want to profit from it.
Yeah, so they're not kind of exploiting all the opportunities out there that other teams, other sports do by kind of working together. We don't work together. We're kind of shutting out the international market rather than opening up to it.
When I started with the Cowboys, to become a fan of the Cowboys and wanted to become a member, they don't even have a non-ticketing membership for overseas fans.
Right.
And I think probably the same goes with most English clubs.
I'm certain. I'm certain. I can't we don't. Most English clubs still operate as a season ticket rather than a membership.
Yeah,
So it's all about going to the games. And I know I've been talking to some people at Wigan, and I know some other clubs have done similar things, thinking about looking at a membership rather than a season ticket, so that you can use it to sell things that aren't just tickets to every single game. So you can target certain sections of the fans who can't go to every game, and you can
exactly.
give them deals. And that's what you get sort of with the Cowboys, I guess,
Yeah,
now.
yeah. You get a merchandise package. You get, if you are able to go to games, you get a discount on tickets and so on. So it's a kind of, you can show that you're a member of the club, you're a part of it, even if you're not there.
I think that's a really good point you make. That's something that, I think the clubs should embrace, and it does give you a chance to stay connected as a fan who maybe
Yeah,
moves away as well. So not just fans like you who find the sport from overseas, but people might move away and still want to show their connection somehow to the club, and a membership is a way to do that. You're part of something still.
yeah, and that's what I see is it's a big growth area. I mean, at the moment, everybody talks about expansion, not expansion, and I'm sitting here and saying maybe strengthening your brand would
Yeah.
be the first step. I mean, probably South Sydney is the best marketed club in rugby league overall
But is
because
that just
Russell,
because they've got a famous person at the top of the club
yeah,
who manages to have
and
millions of Twitter followers rather than the club doing anything actively?
yeah, and he takes everybody to the stadium, gives them a jersey, and show them to the media. It doesn't matter Snoop Dogg or another actor. Okay, Hugh Jackman won't wear a South Sydney jersey, but
Yeah,
that's a
no,
different
exactly.
story.
Yeah, and that's how we have the random South guy at
Yeah, exactly.
every major rugby league and other sporting events.
Yeah, exactly. He is just promoting his club over his own brand. I mean, the biggest marketing coup for a Super League club was Adam Hills with Warrington.
Yeah,
He's dropping the Wolves all over the place, and they did have nothing to do for it except let him play.
yeah, yeah. He's not making money out of it. I suppose actually Warrington's a good one to touch on as another area that I don't understand why we don't exploit much more massively. But the Warrington owner Simon Moran runs music concerts,
Yeah, I know.
across the country and across, I'm guessing, wider than than our country as well. But the amount of bands that pass through his offices, or at least agents of bands that pass through his offices, surely deals can be struck. I mean, at the Super League Grand Final this year, it maybe didn't go down too well with the whole of the audience in the stadium, but a certain section of it. But Blossoms, who were the band that were playing, thanked Simon Moran for giving them that opportunity to play in front of 60,000 plus people, and
Yeah,
and at a major event like that in an iconic stadium. And we don't use that enough. that
yeah.
that's a
Firstly,
shining opportunity.
I don't see that we use the people we have,
Yeah.
and secondly, some of the people we have work
Like
against each other.
like
Like
have you got an example?
best example, Gary Heffington and Ian Lanigan,
Yeah.
the two biggest clubs on the continent, can't
Definitely.
get a decent strategy together because they are just smashing their heads. So that's something I don't get.
Yeah, they don't sit down with a piece of paper and say, I want this, you want this, let's see
Yeah,
how we can get the closest we can to what we both want. They seem to just say, I want this, so you're not having that,
yeah,
and vice versa.
and the worst thing is they're doing this in public.
Yeah.
I mean, the press conference for the introduction of Robert Elston, I was just